Now, you've got the buffer then of that second and third game, but you can never underestimate getting off to a strong lead in the games, which, you know, we saw in our quarterfinal yesterday and in our semi-final earlier on today. That's how it went out, 1-1-1. Games went back and forth. So, you know, a big win in this first game. We'll have to see. The picks and bans are obviously underway, and the bans coming out for Gambit. Twisted Fate aimed straight at Ocelot. It was, of course, a Twisted Fate which destroyed them in week 9. NASA's taken away there against Hercube. I wonder if they'll put a Jarvan ban in there as well. Maybe even first pick it away. But Kha'Zix and Shen for SK.
Zed and Thresh are still available as well. So SK Gaming are going to need to determine what is a bigger threat to them, giving away the likes of Zed or giving Thresh over to Edward. It's something that we've seen him play so much of in the past. Gambit, on the other hand, they're going to be deciding, do we want to take away Jarvan from Hercubot? And it does look like they're going to decide to do that. So, Hercubot has been falling back to a number of other champions, and I want to see whether or not he's going to pull something new or unique out. Volibear is still available, and they've left Thresh through, and Elise as well.
Yeah, Thresh and Elise still in there. Elise is going to be locked straight in there for Darian. We talked about how well he actually did in that top lane with the Elise, so we could expect it to go there, of course. May see it in the jungle as well with Diamond.
And something that we want to talk about, Darian's Elise in particular, is when he was playing and they did the lane swaps a couple of weeks ago, he actually went for like a Ruby Sightstone. He started building some slightly different items that, you know, synergize really well. Elise's base numbers are very good. In conjunction with that, having that Sightstone allows you to get vision, which means when you have 106 deaths, you can try and mitigate some of those. So, you know, we'll see whether not in one game, but over the course of 28. So,
if it's in one game, you've got no chance, I'm afraid.
There's also the running joke that if Darian feeds, Gambit will win. That's also something that Reddit seem to believe.
That's part of the plan from the Russians. But either way, SK going to be picking their first two, and it's going to be Rumble, a champion which Kevin has looked amazing on, and also Thresh, who wasn't banned in this one, and I kind of expected him when he's not banned to be in that first round of picks.
And, of course, Rumble was the terror of Gambit in Week 9 as well. Kevin was the only member of the team to actually give up deaths in that game. The rest of the team went completely unhindered as far as that is concerned. So we'll see how how they're going to plan this out. Right now, you've got a very good combo. The CC, the box to lock people in. We've made it through to the 5th pick, and Varus has still not been selected. So we'll see if Candy Pan is going to lock that in. We do know that Genja does prefer Misfortune. It's his most played champion throughout the spring split.
Yeah, Misfortune will be locked in, and we are going to be seeing Udyr in here as well for Diamond. And we mentioned this really before the Udyr rework, that he was, along with Makadza from Meet You Makers, pretty much in Europe the only two junglers that were really bringing Udyr to the table. Obviously, we have seen him pop up here and there a little bit since that remake, but interested to see what Diamond brings to the table here today.
And 3 flashes of brilliance as far as Udyr is concerned. In Week 1, we've seen him, he did a flash over the wall, did like a 4-minute dragon, which was great. When we seen him at MLG Dallas a couple of weeks ago, if I remember correctly, he used it to great effect against the Korean teams, and it was a very, very good pick. Against this type of composition, I can see it working as well, as long as Thresh doesn't, get too involved. So what we do see, Zed is still available, as is Kale. It's something that we've seen a number of times. We've even seen Ocelot playing the likes of Cassidy as well as Ari. So, the world is their oyster, and as usual in SK fashion, they're leaving the last pick for Ocelot to secure.
Yeah, we've seen Nautilus and that Varus locked in. Right now, Gambit are hovering over that Blitzcrank. Edward thinking, well, if you're going to have Thresh, I'm going to show you can really do the pulls in this one. And maybe we'll see that one being locked in, but it looks like Zed will be that choice locked in there for Alex.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see Ocelot playing a Kale. It's something that we have seen a number of times before. It's something that they do like to run. If it does get locked in, we need to keep a very close eye on Ocelot's interventions. He does have a tendency to go down before using it, or not using it in the most ideal of situations. I'm trying to be as politically correct as possible here, but it is something that we've called out over the couple of weeks that we've been seeing him playing it. The final lock-in, Edward is going back to Sona after hovering through a couple of different supports. So going back to the tried and trusted Sona.
Yeah, tried and trusted. That's where he first learned how to secure kills back in the day when Sona first came out. So he is definitely one of the top Sona players. There's no question about that one. SK here then down to their last pick. What are they going to go with against this Zed?
My guess is something like a Kale. They might even consider an Orianna. We've seen that yesterday from the Wolves. They felt that they could go that way. Or they can just throw me completely off and actually decide to go for a Karthus instead. So this was very unexpected, but it does add to all of the area of effect. If you get a good Nautilus ultimate plus Varus ulti lock people in place, You put the equalizer down, you put the defile on, and you can tear through people. What I do like from SK's lineup that I don't see from Gambit's is a lot clearer forms of initiation. Gambit, they've got it all in. Zed's going to jump in there. Udia's going to run in there. Elise has to repel in or cocoon. And they're a lot more, all or nothing as far as team fights are concerned. A good dredge line or an ultimate from Nautilus or equalizer, there's a lot stronger initiation tools for SK to work with.
Well, this is, of course, our first game of the best of 3. At least one more game coming up after this. We're, fingers crossed for a third and final game here today from this one as well. Don't forget, we will be coming with the third place playoff game plus the grand final for you tomorrow, and that grand final will be a best of 5, and we have Fnatic already waiting for the winner of SK versus Gambit. Will it be first seed versus second, or will we see an El Clasico final here in the Spring Split playoffs? That would be sensational.
It would be sensational because El Clasico always delivers. But before we get to that, we need to get through this matchup, and I definitely think the laning phase is going to be very, very important. Happily for me, Edward is wearing the Muse Sona skin, which is his the most favorite one. And I definitely think that SK Gaming will be trying to do some lane shenanigans to swap them around. I don't think that Ocelot's going to want to go toe-to-toe with Alex. He's in very real threat of just being insta-jibbed and taken out. So that is something to consider. But we heard Ocelot talking in the preview video. He was saying, I should have played things differently the last time we faced off. And if he's learned from previous mistakes, maybe he's going to be happy to go 1v1.
I think that's an attribute that every player needs to have to admit. I pretty much sucked in that, and I should have done something differently. And, at this level, these guys definitely are able to do that on. So we're going to jump into game then. Of course, it is Gambit taking on SK Gaming, the second semi-final of the LCS Europe Spring Split Playoffs. How are we going to see this one go down? Well, talk us through the level 1 action.
So, level 1, both teams have relatively good level 1s, but SK's is borderline more powerful because of the fact that they've got a little bit more hard CC that they can rely on. If somebody like Diamond Prox had to start with a bear stance, for example, or Darren had to go cocoon, they could get some down, but it's very reliant. So, what you do see is SK playing very defensive at the start. If he's going to place an early ward down, he's going to be able to just back away, but there's a number of Gambit members around. They've got vision on SK, and they're just waiting for the moves to happen.
Well, as you can see there, Diamond has already gone Phoenix, so that puts a stop to the whole stun from the start out of the Udia coming in. So a couple of early wards there. SK going to be warding down at the bottom of the river and also at the midway point there in that Death Brush.
Taking a look at the champions and the summoner spells, Ocelot has gone with an exhaust, so he is going to be looking to go 1v1 against Alex if he can make that happen. The positioning for Gambit right now doesn't signal anything for sure. The duo laner could go mid, and the duo lanes could go bottom at this time. So we'll see once the minions camps have spawned where they decide to position themselves.
Well, it looks like from SK's point of view, we will see the duo lane in that top side of the map with Candy Panda and Nif coming up here just to help things off. Her Qbot has been starting pretty regularly with these golems first in the jungle.
Yeah, just making sure they get that additional CS, sharing it with the duo laners, and then moving down towards red and getting a good pull onto that one. So I like the idea. It's something we're actually seeing more of out of the pro teams, is sharing the first spawn experience around. And it's a lot of teams doing this, taking the Wolves, the Wraith. You can see that Darian's Elise, he took the Wolf camp. You can see Kevin's Rumble, he took his Wolf camp. And it's just, sharing the love between your teammates at the moment.
And Diamond Prox pretty much all on his Jack Jones there. He had to use his smite to take that red buff away. So he's not going to have that up and available when he moves over to the blue side of the map. Down in this bottom lane now, talk us through, these 1v2s. Who do you think is going to have the stronger 1v2 lane out of Darian's Elise or Kevin's Rumble?
So it's going to be fairly difficult to call based on the fact that they both have, pros and cons to them. But Darian's going to be safer. With Darian's Cocoon, that's going to lock somebody up, as well as ability to repel to safety. It's going to be a lot more valuable than a damage shield from Kevin. Kevin's going to take poke from Sona and from Misfortune. Once he tries to CS, he's going to take double ups. He's going to take a few power chords. And, that's something that Darian's Elise will have the benefit of being able to avoid. In addition, Elise has sustain, built in with those little spiderlings and a W. So she can actually heal back some additional HP. And we can see that Kevin, he started with that red pot. He's a little bit afraid of being jumped on or being ganked. And that red pot's going to give him a little bit of extra safety.
Yeah, we have seen in the past, though, Kevin's ability to really come out, not ahead, obviously, of the dual lane, but when you compare it over to the other single guy, we've seen his ability to come out on top of that situation and even get kills from those lanes as well. So we'll have to see how that goes. Diamond right now is waiting in the wings of that Tribush to stop any early aggression on the tower.
So this is something that's going to work out quite well for Diamond Prox. It pretty much guarantees that the 3-minute 30, the 4-minute gank does not happen, which is partially why he's here. And if he decides to stick around and take some lane tax, it just prevents all of that additional poke that a level 2 Darian's going to be taking from the likes of Varus and Thresh. You've got some very, very good early poke.
And also going to be nicely straight through, as we are going to see the flashes coming out. Alexic will flash away to safety there. Hercubot did try and get in there. Actually will land the dredge line in the end, but he's taking a lot of damage. Has to back away as Ocelot comes in. This puts a layaway saw 2 down to stop Alexic pushing in for that one. He did burn the elixir there though, Alex.
Yeah, the elixir and the flash. So definite successful gank. If a good wall of pain lands, they're going to hook him. But Darian's been hooked.
Yeah, going to get hooked into this one. Is he going to be able to escape things? He does have a flash available. Will be forced to use it. Repel's up in the air as well there, but he's gone very, very low from that one, but crucially survived. But again, he's got no flash.
Yeah, flash burn, so another great play out of the top lane. What Darian, I think, needed to do in that setup was actually use Repel to dodge the hook. If he had done that, he may have been able to avoid a little bit more damage. Instead, he took those blighted quiver stacks, he took the proc from Varus, as well as the flay from Thresh. But nevertheless, very good start from SK Gaming. They've had small little, plays that are working in their favor, burning the enemy summoner spells.
Yeah, the gold right now just tipped over in the balance for Gambit overall. So we are seeing the first couple of champions going back in there to buy things up. Carthus going to pick up that Ruby Crystal, and you'd imagine going to go straight up towards that Catalyst as early as he can to stay safe against Zed.
Yeah, going to be working towards that, just getting that additional HP and that sustain in lane. Allows him to spam out those little skittles as often as possible and obviously regenerate any poke that he takes. In terms of the top laners, what we do see is Diamond Prox, let's be honest, is babysitting Darian quite extensively. He's been in this lane for a good 2 minutes, and in the mid lane, they're going in.
Yeah, I'm going to go in, but again, can't quite get the ground on Alexic, and they're trying to really capitalize on the fact that there is no flash there for Alexic. But again, there's no flash for Hercubot, which just the way that Zed works makes it hard for him to get in there anyway. Yeah,
especially because that Living Shadow is so powerful. It's effectively a 20-second flash that you can use at any time. So as long as Alex has that ability available, he will be able to jump to safety. See a very deep ward from Hercubot in and around the Wraith Bush, and some pings immediately on Diamond Proc saying, well, we know where he is, keep tabs on him, keep an idea on his CS, on his items, and make sure the lanes are aware of it.
Yeah, and it's actually just making a loop around right now. We'll put a ward of his own on that curve bush and maybe head down here towards this bottom lane. Hercubot, as we said, does know the positioning there of Diamond, so it looks like he's going to try and head that off.
So we'll see how this pans out. I've just taken a quick look at the rune page there for Genja, and he's running 24 armor penetration, followed by 8%. So a very, very heavy, armor penetration build, which makes me believe he may go for a lot of attack damage early and rely on his runes and his masteries to really help him get through any armor that's built up by SK. At the moment, you do see that Hercubot's hanging around in this bottom lane, and we've seen Nautilus ganks in the bottom lane pick up kills before. Yesterday, that was, of course, Evil Geniuses making that one work.
I thought he was going to back away there as he saw Udi just crossing over that bush once again on the bottom side of the Gambit jungle, but Hercubot is still waiting there, so it looks like they're pretty committed to making something happen from this angle. The question is, can they get in and over that wall quick enough with the Nautilus?
He should be able to get in there. He doesn't have flash, so we're not going to see any, flash dredge line hooks, which is what he tried in the middle lane. But at the moment, just hanging around, going to be working towards most likely those boots of mobility, and we all get to giggle at the funny run animation. Right now, Kevin is just staying alive, and Hercubot's going to say, well, I've been here long enough, I want some of the CS.
Yeah. Actually, Darian coming down to that middle lane there, so that's interesting, which could indicate that Gambit are already thinking here about going in towards a dragon.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would read it as well. Seeing how Diamond Prox has played Udyr in the past, they do go fairly aggressive.
There and kill it.
Exactly.
Except he's got Ghost, so they'll just run in there and get it.
Well, he can run very, very quickly, especially with Ghost and with Bear Stance up. You do see he's going to maybe position some wards. He doesn't have any wards, so that's not even a possibility. Just getting the timer. So resetting the image, and what you'll notice is that little icon on the minimap will reset once it comes back to life. And as we see Darren, he's returned to the top lane. There's no vision for SK on this one, so they're actually going to have no idea that this dragon is going on right now.
Zed coming down to help things out here. Looks like Sona will join in as well. Diamond down to half HP already, so they're going to have to get the heals on it, maybe swap around a little bit of that damage coming in. And there is the Dragon pickup by Gambit. That is a very, very early Dragon coming in at 8 minutes and 22 seconds into the game. But we've come to expect that as well from Gambit.
This is something that we said, during the build-up for the show as well. Gambit, they control their objectives and their Dragons. I would go so far as to say the best out of any team in Europe. I think their Dragon control, their timing, their positioning, and just how the team generally roams when Dragon is up is absolutely fantastic. So they pick up the first one. What it does mean is when it respawns in a couple minutes' time, they'll be able to position some wards and go in for it. What we do see now is the Ninja is moving to the top lane, and we see Diamond Proc's positioning as well. They're jumping on.
Here we go. The Lantern is down. We are going to see Darian getting involved, and here comes Zed from the side. Candy Panda going to use Barrier already. Won't be enough, though, and that's first blood, and Diamond now charging in. He's going to get the stun down onto Nif. Are they going to go for the tank? The Cocoon will miss. There's the Flay. Darian takes a tower hit, and Nif will stay alive for now, and here comes Karthus. Darian not going to fall to that one. Not quite enough damage.
Hercubot had flash as well. So what he was afraid of was the flash from Hercubot to jump in on him and then land the hook. So they baited it, so to speak, and unfortunately, first wrecking of the game doesn't secure anything.
Yeah, double hooks for SK. That's definitely a dangerous position to be in, that's for sure. As Ocelot, they put down a bit of damage onto that middle turret, while Alex Hitch was up in his top lane. Diamond now being the focus of the attention for Hercubot, and Nif, he'll just try and dodge as much as he can from those skill shots coming out. In the end, they didn't even bother to go for it, and that will leave us at 1-0 for Gambit. 2,000 gold is their lead.
First blood did go to Alex, who we'll see when he decides to back off and actually spend that money. That's arguably one of the worst people to give it to if you are SK Gaming. Zeds that can insta-kill people are absolutely terrifying. 3,700 gold to the 2,700 of his lane opponent, but obviously hasn't spent that money just yet. If he decides to save to around 1,800, he can finish that blade pretty much immediately.
Speaking of saving, Genja right now sat on a fortune, almost 3,000 gold that he's got right now. Obviously, they can keep the pressure down onto Rumble this entire time, so doesn't need to back off and potentially miss any of that CS right now. But when he does go back, he's going to come back into the game with a lot more, as Alex may be in trouble here. That was a wall of pain and Living Shadow. See you later.
Yeah, just going to be able to hop away, get himself out of range. And talking about the amount of farm and gold that Genja has, it's because of the fact that they've had great vision down in this bottom lane. Alex has been caught. And
caught as in destroyed there from that one. And it happened so quick that we didn't quite manage to get tabs on it there. And that is what SK were really looking for. That kill, of course, going over to Hercubot, who we talked earlier on about how many kills he picks up in games and how little deaths, maybe even more importantly. 44 from 28 games in the spring split.
Now, this is something I want to point out that's a little different from what we used to see from Hercubot. He's picked up a Philosopher's Stone first as one of his earliest items. This is very different to what we're used to seeing out of junglers in the LCS, and Hercubot in particular is one of them. This immediately tells you we want to go to late game. This signals that I want to get as much gold as possible. I haven't rushed Boots of Mobility, so I don't want to gank quite as often. Usually he could have it by now. And it just signals we want to get to that powerful state where Varus will out-DPS MF, where Karthus will kill everybody, and where Rumble and Nautilus can survive anything that Gambit throws at them.
Yeah, but of course that first blood went over to Alex, so they're going to have to do a good job to hold on to that one if they want to get to that later stage. Actually, Alex did obviously have that lead in CS as well. That was caught up a little bit by Ocelot once Alex went home to pick up that Brutalizer to add it into the Cutlass that he already had a little bit earlier on. And we will see Ocelot coming back into lane with the Blasting Wall.
So he is going to almost have that Rod of Ages completed. Up in the top lane, Hercubot was sniffing around for a gank, and instead decides to just push down the lane with the rest of his teammates, and they pick up the first tower of the game. So Tower 1 does go to Gambit, and with that, they give themselves a little bit of a gold lead.
To SK.
To SK, sorry.
Close enough, because Gambit are going to take the second turret of the game here.
They even
down
out it.
in that bottom lane, as we are going to see Darren here getting hooked. Can he get away from this one? Actually, they didn't really react too much to that one in the end, and he will be completely fine. There is that turret going down for Gambit, and that kind of evens us up on the kills and the turrets, but of course not the gold. With that first blood, with the Dragon, it's 17.4 to 16.2 thousand, the lead for the Russians.
And Gambit will be respawning in a minute, so take a look at the vision that's coming down. We've seen Diamond Prox a moment ago putting a ward down on SK's blue buff. You see Edward moving on his pink ward, the Dragon, and there's some additional vision all over the place. So they're getting ready for that engagement, making sure they're aware of SK Gaming's timing and placement. And only Diamond Prox can get away with the recall in the middle of SK's jungle.
It's one of those moves that is so ridiculously ballsy that you just wouldn't expect it to be happening, you know. And I think that's what Diamond relies on a lot of the time, that, you know, he is quite willing to take those risks because he thinks no one will spot it. And if they're just walking over a ward in the river, luckily for him, Diamond did recall earlier on because he would have definitely gone for him, I think, in that scenario. The red buff is up for Diamond right now. He's going to be taking that one away. He's currently got the CS lead over his opposite number, Nautilus. He is, however, too many H's in that one, a little bit behind in terms. Actually, that's this screen.
They're about even. They're about even. Yeah, they're about even.
See, Demon did that earlier. That's because this screen plays tricks on your eyes.
It does. It does. It's a viewing angle, I think. But what it does mean, I want to touch on his level. Level 8. 4 points into Phoenix, 3 points into Turtle, and only the 1 in Bear. Dragon has respawned, and with all the vision that Gambit have right now, they've started this one very, very confidently. SK are around, and it looks like they want to pick this fight. Let's wait for this engagement. It's on Nif.
Yeah, Cocoon is going to land here on towards Nif. The box goes down, but look how quickly he's going to fall here. It's Darien that picks up the kill, and now Hercubot being chased down. There's a crescendo. Ocelot will have to flash away, but the Bear is in there, doing a lot of damage. Can they finish off Ocelot? It's Darien that's right in the middle. He's going to have to try and get away. Here comes the ultimate out of Karthus. It won't be enough to pick up kills. SK's still pretty low, but look at Nautilus charging in towards Diamond Prox here. Will they keep going with this one? Rumble zoned out of the fight on that top side, but there is the dredge line landing on towards Diamond. Can he escape from this one? There's a snipe from Candy Panda. The hail of arrows not got enough damage, and Gambit walk away with hardly any health.
1-for-1 trade at the end of that. 1 for 2 actually, because Nif went down as well. He failed flashed into the wall. I think the death mark would have still popped and killed him though. What it does mean is SK, if they can fix this Dragon or take it, losing 1 additional kill. They've jumped on Alex.
They've jumped on Alex here. They're going to pull him in towards Hercubot, and I was just thinking maybe not the best idea, but with the addition of Kevin to the fight, that will change things around. They don't chase because that Dragon is still available here for the taking. They're going to start that off. Genja going to use the bullet time over the top of the wall, and in the end, SK not worth the risk for them here.
Such great play there from Gambit at the end to force SK out, and they jumped onto SK as well. SK Gaming were not anticipating that level of go, go, go from Gambit, and that is what caught them out. They put a pink ward down to clear out the vision that SK had, and now Gambit are going to restart this Dragon. But the Boots of Mobility Nautilus is running. He won't get there in time, though, and this is going to be Dragon number 2 going to Gambit, as well as those 2 kills from earlier.
Nice little boost for them. 22.7 to 19.7 thousand gold right now. Nice healthy 3k gold lead. As we are going to see SK starting to push down middle here with 3 men. Nautilus, of course, got all the kills right now, all 2 of them, in fact, for SK Gaming. As we see them pushing it. Sorry, there's a hook landing onto Diamond, gets pulled in by the dredge line, but honestly, he's not the target that you want there.
So beefy. With the turtle stance, it blocks up to 150 damage of the auto attacks, and there was no real DPS sources there. You can see Varus was down in the bottom lane, you can see Rumble was up in the top lane, so didn't really pay out for them in that particular regard. But nevertheless, good combo. SK are just going to decide to back away from that one. It is still 1-to-1 in towers, and it's still a fairly slow-paced game, all things considered.
And not to mention the extra 500 health in there from that Spirit of the Ancient Golem that we've seen. Actually, from both junglers now. They've both gone up to that one. Obviously, Boots mobility done. We saw the Nautilus come sprinting down earlier on with his little short arms and short legs. Looks great. I love it. And now he's just waiting off in the wings, maybe trying to catch Darien out here. We talked about this in the pre-game, about how Darien sometimes finds himself in bad positions, as we are going to see the wall of pain come down. He will rappel away there onto the minions, though, and that will keep him safe.
That
Nicely
was
done.
Such great reaction times from Darien. He instantly repelled and then very, very quickly landed on the minion off to the side of the lane. So he didn't even use the dead time to hang in the air and just chill. What we do see is Hercubot was running to the top lane, thinking about going in, behind Alex. But obviously a call was made, no, we need you elsewhere, and he's decided to back off. So Kevin at the moment left to fend off against Alex with that Blade of the Ruined King as well as Brutalizer.
Yeah, he's painful right now. And well, we're 18 minutes into the game. He's in a great position after that amount of time. If you check between the AD carries as well, Genja, as we always talk about, he's like the silent, deadly man in the Gambit team because turrets go down and he kind of falls off the radar. We don't really look at him that much, and then all of a sudden you look at the CS and you're like, oh well, let's build up a 40 CS lead right now without us even noticing.
Here come SK in the top lane as they try to chase down Alex. Hercubot has his ultimate available and he is motoring, but it's going to slow him down. There's the equalizer.
Equalizer flash away from Alex, will get knocked up there by the depth charge, slowed down by the harpoons. Can they finish him off? He's going to go back around onto Kevin. The death mark going to pop, but it won't quite be enough.
If Alex had actually stopped to fight Kevin in that engagement earlier, he probably could have killed him because he did use that living shadow earlier in the fight. And you did touch on all the farm that Genja has. He's got a lot more items than Candy Panda. Candy Panda on Boots 1 and Bloodthirster comparison to Berserker's Greaves, Bloodthirster, Pickaxe, Longsword, and a Negatron Cloak. Genja is already defending against the damage that Ocelot's going to be putting down.
Yep, and also taking away these golems wherever he gets the chance from that. Candy Panda going to be trying to catch them up here, just freezing that lane as close to his turret as he actually could there, so as to not push it back and let Genja have the opportunity to even build on that lead. Hercubot choosing not to get involved there, but might have to cancel that recall because there's a lot from Gambit. There is the hook landing on towards Edward.
Right.
He's going to flash away, and Genja will get the kill there on towards Nif. Where is Darian going? He's got a little bit caught here. Diamond procs down to half HP as well. Can they close around? Genja coming in from the side. Candy Panda scores the goal, throwing in that chain of corruption straight down the middle of them, and now they focus around to him. They've not calculated Karthus into this one, or have they, as Darian comes around. Genja eventually picks up that kill, and it's a 2-for-0 in favor of Gambit.
SK Gaming were very poorly placed.
Edward died,
very poorly placed in that particular situation. He got away. He got a crescendo 1-3, flashed to safety, managed to stay alive, and then Gambit, they just dove in. Equalizer's down. Darian's going to go down.
Yeah, and Darian was trying desperately not to stand on the edge of the equalizer right there, but, well, he did great not to die in that last fight, but he ends up dying at the end of it as well. And of course, Sona did flash away at the end of that fight. So that was another engagement which Gambit, especially if they'd not lost Darian there at the end, would have been very, very happy about. But Nif, that's the danger of the hook sometimes. If you hook someone in, they throw the crescendo straight on top of you, you get nuked down by a team like Gambit.
It's almost like you have to make sure 100% that you can get that kill very, very quickly. And if Edward's reaction times were any slower, he would not have been able to stun them and he would have gone down. So it's more a case of Edward doing such a great play in that defensive statistic.
Yeah.
But what the real problem for SK was that they couldn't rally. Once Gambit dived, that was 2 versus 3 behind turrets. You had Candy Panda come from the side. He whiffed the chain of corruption because of how mobile Diamond Prox is with those boosts of swiftness and the bear stance. And because, it was like a chain of events that just went poorly for SK, they lost both of those champions and that turret as well.
Well, what's coming up next here? Dragon in 40 seconds, maybe the next time that we see these two teams clashing heads. There's a hail of arrows coming down on top of Genja, but he's got red buff on right now. He's probably not too scared when he looks down and presses tabs at the items that are in there. And it looks like Gambit, are they going to try and close in, or are they going to go straight for Dragon? Well, there's a pink ward there. They're going to get rid of the vision. And they're there 20 seconds early for the Dragon spawn.
And they're there to put the vision down. So now what this does is SK immediately go Dragon, reposition. And look at how Gambit are roaming. They clear out the vision. They deny any sight from SK in the pit. And until they walked over that ward, if SK had gone in for that and said, let's go challenge, let's go fight, they would have ran into members of Gambit. So now with the positional advantage and the vision advantage, Diamond Prox has started it, and they've jumped onto the spider.
Yeah, going to go in there towards Darian. He's actually going to repel away from this one. The box is down from Nif. Chain of Corruption not quite landing where they wanted it to. Diamond runs away. There's a depth charge on towards Darian. Did knock up Genja as well at the same time, but that's a lot used there for SK Gaming.
Yeah, they used 3 of their ultimates there. Requiem is available, but are they going to decide, is it going to be enough to fight? That's the question. Wall of Pain is down. SK still want to fight.
Yes, yeah, they do want to fight. They've managed to hook Darien in towards this one. There's a brilliant crescendo going over. The bullet time doing the work as well. And SK being shredded down. Alex Itch right on top of them. Double kill coming out from Udia. They can't quite finish off Diamond either. And that will be a lot of kills coming out in the end. 3. Actually, yeah, Ocelot did just get away. I wondered if he was dead somewhere, but a slither of health. 3 for 1.
3 for 1, and Edward single-handedly winning that team fight. Another fantastically placed crescendo. Gambit run up to Baron. Baron shakes its head, and they're like, "You're right, bro." And they back off. They decide they don't want to pick that fight. They were relatively low, and they're not tanky enough to survive. They have damage, but they wouldn't survive long enough, and they didn't want to risk that, especially because they were like, hang on a minute, Ocelot still has Requiem. He did not use it in that previous fight, so let's not run the risk of giving away more kills. So another great engagement from Gambit. They extend that gold lead to 7,000 gold.
Yeah, the crescendo was incredible, again, from Edward coming out there. Bullet time followed straight over the top of it as well. And SK can't afford that to happen. The 2 big ultimates coming out there from Gambit that they just can't let be placed in the right position. Either way, going to go into a bit of a slower time of things here as Darien is going to put down some damage.
And Ocelot burned his exhaust there. So Darien jumped onto Ocelot, and Ocelot panicked and used his summoner spell. So if Zed jumps on him, if Udia jumps on him, if Darien jumps on him in these upcoming fights, that ability is not available to him. So we'll need to keep a very close eye on how that pans out. Right now, Diamond Prox playing very aggressive, just moving up, putting some deep wards down as Hercubot secures his red buff and goes Spider Pig, Nautilus, and runs away.
Yeah, and the thing is, Diamond is not scared whatsoever. He's one of those players who generally you don't see much fear out of his game style anyway. But the fact that he's Udia with those boots of swiftness on as well, he's just like, I'm just running away from this. As Gambit now are putting pressure onto that middle inner turret. And look at that Diamond up on the top side. To be honest, Gambit not really positioned to go for a big fight here, though.
No, not right now, but in the top lane, it looks like they want to pick an engagement. Diamond Prox is running up there, and he's sitting very close to Hercubot. So we'll see how this pans out right now. There's 2 members of SK. Diamond Prox wants to play, and SK are pretty much saying yes or no. They're trying to defend, but they don't know how right now.
Yeah, you hear the bear roars in the background there, and that's Diamond just getting in, trying to force them away from that one as Ocelot goes low once again, and now Gambit's starting to close in. That inner turret is going to go down. That's a nice pickup for them 25 minutes in.
This is something that SK really need to stop doing. They're doing nothing. This is the problem. They're unable to defend middle because they're bouncing back and forth. Ocelot took so much damage, he was forced to recall. So because he wasn't there to defend, they lost that tower. In the top lane, Hercubot and Kevin, they haven't committed to anything. So they're trying to jump in there, and at the same time, they're losing their blue buff. Darien just stole that away.
Yeah, blue buff taken away there by Darien, as you saw down in the bottom left-hand side of your screen. There's Chain of Corruption for Candy Panda, and I don't think we've seen him hit one.
Yeah, I really hate to call him out on that one, but you are right. I think that's 3 for 3 that have missed in this particular matchup, and they're a little bit risky. They're risky chains, to be very honest with you. You know, in the middle, in the jungle here, it missed because of how mobile Diamond was. In the previous fight, it was just at max range trying to do it, and you're not going to catch a Genja with Strut on that's running away at a mile a minute.
Well, you can see some more items coming in. We'll hold that thought because Darien here, down on the bottom, could be in a little bit of trouble. There's the ultimate coming out of Hercubot, and Darien is not quite just yet going to go down. Finished off by Ocelot in the end. That's just what we were talking about in the pre-game. But crucially in the pre-game, we talked about how Gambit usually capitalized on that one. This time they weren't in a position to.
This time, no, because the rest of the teammates were, further and further back. So unfortunately, it wasn't able to pay dividends for them at this moment in time. So we'll see how they decide to rally. But yeah, that was death number 110 in the spring split for Darien, and it's just something that sort of you become accustomed to when you watch him. He does like to split push. He does like to roam. Right now, though, SK, they're grouped quite tightly, and they're actually in the middle of Gambit. So if Gambit aren't very careful about their positioning, they may get caught out.
Yep, and there we see Edward got that Oracle on as well. See that Darien, after he died, did finish that Leandra. He's got the Abyssal sets and Sorcerer Shoes in there as well. He's going to be doing a lot of damage with that Spider. And it's obviously Diamond, the one who's going very, very tanky in this game.
And you see there, just another tentative dredge line coming out from Hercubot, trying to catch onto Genja, but again, it's very, very difficult to catch. Very, very shortly, a moment or two ago, Rabadon's death cap was completed for Ocelot's Carpus, so that Requiem is going to be hitting even harder. but they need to get people low before they can pick up kills. And he's currently sitting on 1, 1, and 3. They're going to need to give more gold and more items to Karthus for him to be a real threat, because right now, Repel can get him away. Turtle Stance is going to shield a lot of it. Sona's going to regenerate with those heals, and obviously not that much, but a very brave play from Gambit. They've started a 2-man Baron.
We talk about Diamond doing early dragons here on his own. This time him and Edward starting off the Baron as Alexic is going to destroy Kevin there in the top lane. And that's what happens with Zed. Unfortunately, he can absolutely destroy you, as we are going to see Diamond charging in. Wall of Pain is down, but honestly, it's not really that scary. The exhaust really not slowing Diamond down either there as he runs in and out. Happy as Larry.
Who's Larry?
Diamond Larry props.
Well, carries on chasing. Another flash and summoner spell burn for Ocelot. Flash and exhaust down. It just seems like he's using this panic lead to defend himself, and it's not working out in his favor at all. Gambit now, with the fact that they know that they got Kevin down and they've burned those spells from Ocelot, they've started off Baron, and with this great gold lead and positional and vision advantage, this is going to be a free Baron for them.
Yeah, we saw Darian in the bottom lane as well, starting to push up there, and this time his split pushing does create that necessary diversion as the Wall of Pain goes in there, and Ocelot makes the call. Baron's gone, guys. Time to defend. And
this is something that we heard in the build-up as far as the match was concerned. The players saying every match that we've seen or that we've taken part in has been very one-sided. And this is a little bit of a slower grind from Gambit, but they have been in control from the get-go. They've been making the plays, setting the kills up, making the dives, and right now Darren, he's going to get spotted by the Lantern, but I think he should be able to get away. Those skittering spiderlings.
Yep, he's going to be going down towards the Dragon, which is just a bit more extra gold in there. Will actually bring us to a 10,000 gold lead with this for Gambit right now, which, 9-6 in kills. You wouldn't expect to see that in the gold, but Gambit have controlled literally everything about this game. Yes, they've lost a couple of kills here and there. Darian's died 4 times, which fits into his profile that we talked about earlier on, but it doesn't matter how many times he dies. Alex is going to go in here on towards Ocelot, and the death mark's going to kill him, and he's going to walk away.
Pop goes the Weasel. The Requiem goes down. They're going to land that onto Alex, and here comes Hercubot.
Yeah, here comes Hercubot, but is he going to be fast enough? Alex running desperately away from this one. There's the ward put down by Alex, and he's going to be clever for a little while here, but they will manage to catch in onto him. And is he going to go down? He's going to focus on towards Snip.
Wow.
And he does get the kill. That's incredible.
1 versus 3, he picks the kill up, but that's not all he did. He distracted SK for long enough for both Edward, Darian, and Diamond Fox to push the bottom inner turret, the inhibitor turret. Genja has soloed the mid inhib turret, and they're going to get 2 inhibitors off of this.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Alex saying, well, you can quite happily take me down. I'll take 1 with me, but what have you lost after that one there? The middle turret, super, super low, will be finished by Genja in the end, and the bottom turret as well. And that just is such a great move from Gambit. That just shows how tactically strong they are.
Complete control and domination. There's something I want to point out as well. Edward, a couple minutes ago, he upgraded his boots of mobility with Captain Boots. And this is something else we don't... Captain Eddie. We don't see too many Captain Boots at all in the professional scene, and I wish we did more. It grants +8 movement speed to approaching allied champions, so anyone that's following you up, and when you've got Boots of Mobility, you can stay ahead of them, which is very, very key. They're always going to be chasing you. In addition to that, all of your minions get +20% movement speed, so for split pushing and for those rushing down towers, you see how quickly and how effective it is.
Yeah, really great pick up there from that one. Nice to see some newer stuff coming out there for this one. Gambit starting the process of really constricting SK here with all those wards down in the jungle. To be honest, they've been doing it for quite a while right now. It's not really something too new in this one. And Diamond's got bored of this inner turret up at the top. He's going to get straight in there, tank that one down. Genja with the final blow in for that one. And it's looking all like Gambit right now. But don't forget, guys, this is a best of 3, so don't go anywhere after this one. We will be moving into game 2, whichever way this one finishes. But it does look like our second seed Gambit are well and truly in the driving seat.
Yeah, there's very, very little that Gambit can do to actually lose this match right now. With super minions in both the middle and the bottom lane, it is a matter of time before they're pushing on the Nexus turrets. As soon as that happens, you can see Gambit just... They're toying with this turret. They're walking up. Diamond Fox is going to take a couple of turret hits that do nothing to him right now. And then they're just going to start shoving down this turret. They need Genja to get in there. What you can see right now, though, is in the middle there, Alex is coming in from behind. He's actually pushing down the minion waves himself, and he can blow up anybody he wants to. He can pop them with that death mark. They do hook Edward, but it's this fight. Let's see.
Well, they hook Edward there. We see the bullet time, a great crescendo on the backside. Nif is going to go down for this. Candy Panda going low. The death mark's on him. He's not escaping that one. He will fall. Equalizer from Kevin. They won't care too much about that. It's a double kill for Alex. Here comes the Requiem, though. Darian is going to die, and also Edward died from that one, but the super minions are there. The Nexus turret's already going down. The Nexus will follow, and Gambit going to pick up game number 1 here in our second semi-final of the LCS Europe Spring Playoffs.
10 turrets to 1. Gambit were in control from the very, very first kill on the board, and they did not relent it. They deserved win, and congratulations to them.
Yeah, really strong performance, and that sets them up nicely in this best of 3. We'll see if SK can turn things around coming forward. You can see their headsets off for at least some of the players. A very solemn looking SK